Hey guys, my name is Shai, this is Evermind Astro, and I'm feeling the Sagittarius vibe so hard right now. This video is about Sagittarius rising, and when I tuned into your guys' energy, right, all of you who are watching this because you are Sagittarius rising, I was trying to set up the camera inside like I always do. For those of you who clicked on this video, if this is your first time seeing me, I typically film inside with, mood lighting and all the windows closed and everything closed in and everything kind of dark and artificial lights and all that, and I literally could fucking not. I felt like I was going to suffocate and die if I tried to film this video like closed in like that. And I realized right away that is a huge part of the Sagittarius vibe. Okay, a huge part of the Sagittarius vibe. Sag does not want to be closed in. It wants to be completely expansive. It wants to be completely free. Anything that infringes upon the freedom of Sagittarius is a real big problem. And, I mean, Sagittarius is incredibly complex. It is the first of the collective signs, the first of the collective energies. It is also a mutable sign, mutable fire energy. So it basically encompasses all of the fire, the energy, the passion, the soul of the entire collective, of everything, of everyone. All of those ideas, thoughts, and personalities that are generated within Gemini are tempered together in Sagittarius, okay, are brought together and melded together. So with Sagittarius, you get a huge spectrum, a huge variety. It's not even really right to call it a spectrum because that's linear. It's like a sphere or a conglomerate of energy all put together, but it can manifest in many different ways. There is just so much noise out here right now. There's never noise out here. It's usually nice and quiet. So much noise. I refuse to go inside. I'm feeling too Sagittarius. I'm just going to persevere. So, Sagittarius can manifest in many, many different ways. Like one of its things is it can be very like celebrity, like movie star. Lots of actors. If you ever like do a deep dive into the birth charts of actors, you'll see a lot of Sagittarius. It's also, academia, scholarship, intellectual synthesis, and of course higher spirituality, which can include religion or just transcendent personal spirituality. It can also be very, very wild and raw and primeval and free, like wanting to run in the wilderness or to be a gypsy, to be a drifter, like to be a drifter, right? To just travel and travel the world, travel like foreign travel is another thing here. With Sagittarius rising, this is very interesting. I feel like Sagittarius rising is one of the harder ascendant signs to pin down because there's so many different options about how this can present, right? You could be like a Sagittarius rising person could be a drifter, could be someone who never stays in one spot, is always moving around. They could be someone who is a spiritual leader, like they could become a priest or a therapist or something like that. They could become a professor. They could become a movie star, right? There's all of these different ways of it manifesting, and I think it's going to, like, how this manifests for the individual Sagittarius rising is going to depend a lot on the other energy that's going on. I actually feel that if you have Sagittarius energy, especially if it's in the ascendant, because that's when it's how the ascendant in my mind is, yes, it's your personal self, it's your body, it's how you're grounded, but it's also how you interact with the world on a human level, right? On a one-to-one human level, how you interact with the world. And so it's going to kind of be shaped, right? Your Sagittarius rising is going to be shaped by whatever else you have going on, what other type of energy you have going on. I'm like wandering around trying to settle. Like I can like feel this energy just shifting and moving, like shifting sands, like quicksands, like a vortex. It is very hard to pin down, and this in and of itself is part of the thing, right? Is part of the thing with Sagittarius rising. Hard to pin down, always moving around, looking for attention, wanting to feel adored, wanting to receive the attention, wanting to absorb, but also not really giving a fuck what other people think, and also not wanting to be burdened or pinned down or held back by any of that attention. So it fluctuates and moves around a lot, right? This is mutable energy at its, almost I would say its most mutable, right? That the most options are here. So all of this is kind of the lower level, human level experiences of Sagittarius. What is it on a higher level, right? It is transcendence of the mind. It is transcendence of the human reality. It is the first real experience that we have in the zodiac, right? If you start from Aries and you're going all the way around, you finally get to Sagittarius. This is your first potential to experience or to glimpse unity consciousness. This is the first time you encounter that. So how does that play out in terms of having Sagittarius rising or having Sagittarius in the first house? There's this knowing that everything I'm trying to think of a polite or nice way to say this, a way that doesn't sound really egotistical, because Sagittarius gets a bad rep. There tends to be this thing of Sagittarius is irresponsible, or Sagittarius is egotistical or arrogant, or just wants attention all the time and stuff like that. And I mean, that can be true in its lower frequencies, but that's not really what Sag is about. But that kind of is the lower vibrational side effect of knowing that everything belongs to you. The entire universe belongs to you. Because who else would it belong to? Right? Because who else would it belong to? And saying it that way sounds incredibly like the height of narcissism, but that's not what it is, right? That's only how it translates on a human level. What this feels like to me is on a spiritual level, on a soul level, the Sagittarius rising person, if they have evolved themselves and they're no longer trapped in like lower frequency expressions of this energy, what this really is if everything in the universe is equal, well then I am equal to the universe. I am equal to everything in the universe. So, of course I deserve it all. Of course I deserve the best. Of course I deserve whatever I want. Of course you have no right to infringe upon me. And if you try to infringe upon me, I will simply go somewhere else where I can operate with sovereignty, because that is everything that I deserve. And when a Sagittarius rising person is operating like that, they don't mean that, this is where I think there could be a lot of confusion. They don't mean that you deserve any less. They don't mean that you are somehow less than them. They don't mean that they are better than you. Some low vibe Sag might not fully understand this, right? But an evolved Sagittarius being, it gets into this, oh, I am the entire universe. You are the entire universe. I am God. You are God. You are God. You are God. We are all gods, or we are all part of unity consciousness. We are all an emanation of source consciousness. We are all the same. We are all equals. We are all peers. This is where Sagittarius needs to get to, right? Where Sagittarius needs to get to, because low vibe Sagittarius can be this ivory tower looking down its nose at the plebeian masses, right? It can be very hierarchical. Sagittarius and its lower vibes can be very hierarchical, but that is not the, like, it's not the involved expression of Sagittarius, right? So if you happen to be a Sagittarius rising, or if you have other Sag placements and you're watching this and you've sometimes struggled with, I mean, I'll use myself as an example, right? I have Venus and Sagittarius in the first house. I find that this energy for me is not running all of the time, but if something like making a video about Sagittarius rising, that might activate it for me. If something comes along and activates my Venus in Sag, then this is suddenly going and I'm suddenly aware of it. So I have definitely in my past been like a type of ivory tower person, kind of looking down their nose at people. And that's an incomplete idea, right? It's an incomplete idea where you think that you are somehow above others, right? You're somehow above others. Usually this manifests as the Sagittarius person can go, I am above others in this one specific way, right? Maybe I am the best at gymnastics, or I am the best at math, or I have the best makeup. Like it could be anything. Sagittarius, because Sagittarius tries to go to the top. It tries to rise to the top. It is like a hot air balloon, right? It wants to go to the tippity top of anything, and it's actually what leads us into Capricorn energy, right? And that's the mountain goat climbing to the top of the mountain. So Sagittarius is like taking the express train, the elevator to the top, right? It wants to shoot to the top out of the Gemini energy, which is its opposite. And Gemini is like the human mind. So Sagittarius wants to shoot to the top. And the side effect of that, right? The side effect of low vibe Sagittarius energy is feeling egotistical. And I think a lot of spiritual Sagittarius rising people might struggle with this because they probably have feelings of guilt, feeling like, oh, I'm just being egotistical, or I'm just being arrogant, or, oh, like I did that thing that one time and that made me think that I was better than other people. And that can actually, like, worrying too much about being egotistical can hold you back and can end up being a problem, and can like crimp you up. It can crimp you up. It can run you into trouble. It can really run you into trouble, because it can make you compromise yourself, and it is not natural for you to do that, right? It is not natural for you to do that. So there's kind of this message here about Sagittarius rising, where instead of compromising yourself, instead of going, oh shit, I don't want to be arrogant, I don't want to be egotistical, I gotta compromise myself and tone myself down. Instead of doing that, right, don't tune yourself down, right? Don't turn down your own volume. Don't compromise yourself. Don't dim your light. That will destroy you, especially Sagittarius rising, because this is governing your first house, and that's like your body and yourself. That could even cause you like physical health problems, right? It's not good. Don't dim your light just because you're afraid of being egotistical, okay? Instead, what do you want to do? There's like two things here. One is move where you are. Move where you are. Like, it could be physically, but it could also just be mentally or spiritually, energetically, right? Get yourself into a place where you can feel expansive and you can feel free. If you feel like something is threatening you, just move, right? And Sagittarius finds that quite easy, because like Sagittarius will not be hemmed in, right? This is its kind of natural defense mechanism. And then the other thing is, don't forget to look at others the way you look at yourself, right? So if you look at yourself and go, I am God, right? Well, remember, they are God, and they are God, and they are God, and they are God. Everyone is God, right? The caterpillar, the ant, the tree, the dog, that person you think is amazing, that person you think is terrible, everyone, right? Everyone is an equal emanation of source consciousness. And And if you find yourself falling into hierarchical thinking, like sometimes spirituality, even, you know, if you're into your personal spirituality and you're just kind of making it up as you go and, you know, following your intuition and finding what resonates, we can still fall into hierarchical thinking. And I mean, and that's not even really bad, right? Because hierarchical thinking is part of all that is, and it has its place and it has its purpose. But with Sagittarius rising, you're going to find yourself kind of even rising above through the hierarchy, but then ultimately rising above hierarchy itself. Okay, that was important. Okay, so in the middle vibrations of Sagittarius rising, you are working your way up through hierarchy. So you might find yourself even playing this out in terms of climbing the corporate ladder, or, you know, climbing the academic ladder, or just constantly traveling around the world, pushing yourself to go higher and higher, or constantly expanding your consciousness through your personal spirituality. But then eventually, and you know, with spirituality, sometimes we can run into this thing of, oh, like, this group of souls is more evolved and more advanced than that group of souls because of this, this, and that, and blah, 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 blah. And we start like scaffolding consciousness. And again, there is truth to that, that there is that in the universe. Those things are real, but is that the ultimate truth? Is that the highest truth? Is that the most expanded truth that you can find, right? And the switch in language that I just did there, that is important. Switching from higher or highest, that's a hierarchical word, right? You want to switch that to expanded or expansive or just expanding. So no longer thinking about climbing the ladder, no longer thinking of constantly getting higher and higher, just thinking of expanding your perspective until you find the state of consciousness that encompasses everything. So Sagittarius can lead you to unity consciousness. If you I'm seeing like an iris, right? Like an eyeball, like the iris expanding and expanding and dilating and dilating and dilating. If you dilate the iris of your consciousness all the way that you possibly can, you can discover unity consciousness. And this is really cool. This is the thing about how this, to tie this back into Sagittarius rising, right? Since you're interacting with the human world and the physical world through your Sagittarius energy, can you open your eyes? Can you open your perspective, like as you're walking around, so wide that when you look out at the world, you can understand and experience the truth that we are all one consciousness, right? We all tend to say, and we think, and we've read, and we've heard, we are all one consciousness. But Sagittarius rising has the inherent ability here to truly experience this on a human, personal level, where you look at everything you see around you and you understand this is all one consciousness. We are all one consciousness. We are all truly the same, because it is from expanding that perspective all the way out that you can see the common ground, you can see the common thread, you can see the common connection. You can see how, oh, even though we looked so different for a minute there, even though we looked like we had nothing in common, even though we looked like we couldn't possibly have anything to do, oh, wait, no, we actually are all exactly the same. Right? Oh, wait, we actually are all the same, because the things that made us different aren't actually interesting or important. They're just flavor, they're just details, they're just texture. What is actually important is this one thing that makes us all the same. So what is the one thing that makes literally every single thing in the entire cosmos the same? What is that unifying factor? I mean, I don't know what that is. I mean, besides consciousness, besides the fact that we are all conscious, right? Maybe it's just that. Maybe you all with your Sagittarius rising, maybe you have your own personal knowledge about this, and you might all see it differently. You might see it differently. You might experience it differently as you walk around in the world. But your gift, right? Your gift, and the gift that was given to you, and also the gift that you give back to the world in mutual reciprocity here, is perceiving and experiencing that we are all the same. So I'm going to call this one like that because I'm getting cooked alive out here under the sun. I have a bunch of links down below. You can check out my other channel. It's for Starseeds and Lightworkers. I do tarot and astrology readings on my website or on my Etsy shop if you prefer to shop on Etsy. I have a newsletter. Every 2 weeks I send out the astro updates, the transits, and all of that. So hope to see you guys on some other level. Bye.